Welcome to the Basketball and Brew podcast, produced by Jude McLaren, and I am your host, Dan Miller. Thank you for joining us for this week's podcast, and please help us out by subscribing to our podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you are watching, and please give us a follow on Twitter. Tonight's podcast is brought to you by our sponsors, both right here in beautiful San Marcos, Texas. Pie Society is an excellent stop in San Marcos for great New York-style pizzas made with the freshest ingredients, local beers on tap, and overall fun and cool vibe. And come into Zellick's Ice House for their happy hour drink specials, their outside patio, fun vibes, and just a great time with friends. Tonight, we are excited to welcome our guest, Coffeyville Community College head men's basketball coach, Jay Herkelman. Coach Herkelman has won over 700 games as a head coach, 8-time coach, region coach of the year, 15-time Kansas Jayhawk Community College Conference coach of the year, and his 2021 Coffeyville team won the NJCAA Division I National Championship. Coach Herc, thank you for coming on tonight, and welcome to Basketball and Brew.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Coach, just a great honor having you on, and your teams have just been so good for so long. And that team in 2021 winning the national championship. And I know you had been to the national championship in 2002 in the championship game, but finally getting over the top and cutting down the nets. Coach, can you talk about that team and that season?
Sure, that was it was pretty special, obviously, for the way that it ended. But it started out so strange. That was the COVID year. So the whole first semester we didn't even play games. Junior college basketball was just on a pause, and we were able to scrimmage, but we couldn't play games. And so we didn't start playing actual games until January of that year. And then you crammed in, wasn't the regular schedule, but you crammed in as many games as were allowed. But that team, even in the fall when we were doing our scrimmaging, we saw that they were going to be a very competitive group, very unselfish group, obviously very talented.
Right.
And we were deep. We had a lot of good players. And so we just felt like if we could get them going the right direction, we were going to have a chance. And then, when the season started, I remember it was first conference game. We'd gone over to Hutch, and we got our tails kicked pretty good the year before over at Hutch, and we went over there and we played really well and beat them pretty soundly.
Right.
And I was walking off the floor with Tyler Perry, and who was part of the team the year before when we took the loss over there, and he just made the comment. He says, "Coach, we got some different dudes this year."
Right.
And we did. And that was just the start of it. Going through conference play, and the Jayhawk conference is so hard, but it prepares you for later on with the national tournament and the competition you're going to play there. But yeah, it was an amazing run. Then when we get to the national tournament, we won 5 games in 6 days.
Yeah, you had to play them straight. I saw that.
Yeah, it was a tall task.
Right.
Because we didn't win our region championship. We got beat in the semifinals, so we got an at-large bid, and so we didn't get one of the top 8 seeds. Which, if we would have won our region, or maybe even made it to the finals, because we got beat in the semifinals, we probably would have got a top 8 seed. Which means then you only play 4 games in the week. But, we had to play 5 that week, and it was a challenge, and the guys took on the challenge, and it was a tremendous feat to get through it.
Absolutely, Coach. And I know through those 5 games, you had to play some different styles, and then you get to the final game, and you have to play a team that's running fast. And how do you prepare for 5 games in 6 days against all those different styles, Coach?
You trust what you're doing.
Right.
That's a big thing, that we don't change much game to game. We know personnel stuff changes, but basically what we do stays the same. We first game played a team out of Tennessee, and had the typical first game nerves. Started out a little rough at the beginning, but by halftime we'd gotten a double-digit lead and ended up winning that game pretty soundly. And then the next game, was one that just really worried us. We were playing Odessa, and it was their first game, and it was now we've had those first game jitters out of the way,
right?
And but they were big, and Bucket does a good job down there, and they play the zone and they press and big dudes, and we were both ranked in the top 5 in the nation a year, but we both got beat, and so in the region tournament, and so we're playing them early on, a lot earlier than what it was probably a Final Four level game.
You're right.
And fortunate, we got off to a good start there. They probably had some first game nerves. Really got after them defensively. They were having a hard time scoring the ball, and we were making shots. We had some guys that were feeling pretty good that night. We ended up being up 20 at halftime and ended up winning the game by 40 points.
Wow.
Yeah. Not what was to be expected because they were really good. We just kept rolling that way on that night. Had a day off, and then we played Northern Oklahoma Tonkawa, who we had scrimmaged earlier in the year. So we were a little bit familiar with them, and that was just a grinder game, totally different than the previous two. It's just Donnie Jackson was coaching, and now he's in our conference. He's at Cowley County.
Yep.
And Donnie does a great job of getting his guys to play hard and guard, and it was a hard game. It was an overtime win for us. Then the next game we played Chipola, Florida, she's huge. We thought Odessa was big, but Chipola's out there with 6'5" guards and 6'8" and 6'10" on the wings and a 7'4" guy in the middle, and played a zone. And Donnie Tyndall did a great job with that zone, and we try to run some stuff that has been successful for us during the year.
Right.
They knew how to cover up a lot of things. That's what they did. And second half, we gave our guys a little more freedom to space and make decisions, and we made some shots and won a close one. And then the championship game was a weird one. We're playing Cowley County, who's an hour and 15 minutes to the west of us in our conference, and played them twice during the year, split with them. Tommy DeSalm, the coach, is a good friend of mine, and we're playing for the national championship.
Wow.
That was different.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, Coach, obviously you guys won that game, and cutting down the nets for you had to be an amazing feeling for your career, and to finally get over the top and cut down the nets and win the national championship. And, Coach, one thing I wanted to ask you here was, there's a difference between a great team. You see programs pop and they'll have a great team and a great season, but there's a big difference between that and a program. You have a great program. For 26 years, you consistently win 25, 26, 30 games year after year in the best basketball conference probably in America. Coach, can I ask, what's your formula for that consistency?
Yeah, it's not a magic wand. It's a lot of hard work. Like you said, we've been to the national tournament 12 times in my time. Since 2002 was the first year we got there, and we played for the national championship. We lost by 1 point, 36-2 that year.
Right.
Great year, and to lose it by 1 point in the national championship game, and at that point, you wonder, man, will we ever get a chance?
Right.
We were in the Final Four 4 times. Finally got to the point where we won it in 21. But the consistency of the program, I guess, it's just one, you got to have good players. That's where it all starts. Better have good players. And I've been fortunate. I've had really good assistant coaches that have been helping me out over the years. And we've got a system that, like I said, we don't change a lot year to year. I'm a little bit old school that way, where I don't go necessarily with the trends. I go with what I feel is successful, a way of being successful, and it's been that way for us. We do it the old-fashioned way. We guard people. We try to be real physical with them. Jeremy Cox, assistant down at UTEP, I was just talking to him yesterday. He was asking about some players on our team, and we used to play against each other when he was at Garden City, and then Arkansas Fort Smith, And he always says, I know one thing, you're going to have some tough ass forwards that are going to be
Right.
guys that are going to beat you up and play physical. And that's been successful for us. But the thing that we've really had a lot of success with here is just really good guard play.
Right.
The last 5 point guards that I've coached here have all been All-Americans.
Wow.
And going back to Darian Strong, he left here and went to Oklahoma. And we had T.J. Washington, went to Utah Valley, and then we had Kevin Brewer, who went to Florida International, and now he's transferred to Duquesne. We had Tyler Perry, who is at North Texas and was a first-team All-Conference player at North Texas in his first year there. And then we had Love Bettis last year. And Love and Tyler played together in our backcourt for the national championship.
Yeah.
Love was a freshman last year, took over the point guard. And, over the years, we've had so many good point guards. Boo Richardson was a first-team All-American for me back in the years, about 5, 6, 7. But even my first team, I had a point guard, and that's what really got us going early on in my career was we had 3 really good guards.
Sure.
And I took over a program that was 3 and 26.
Yep.
And man, it was trying to find some guys that wanted to buy into a young coach coming into a new program, and I got 3 guards that were Halim Abdullah. He ended up going to Illinois, playing for Lon Kruger. Donnell Mitchell, who went to Iona, and Chadwick Jenkins, who went and played for Seth Greenberg at South Florida.
Right.
And still to the day, one of the toughest dudes I've ever coached in my life. And so those 3 guys kind of got things going, and I realized you always better have good guards. And then our style of play is very defense oriented, and offensively we have our rules offensively, but I like our guys to be able to play basketball and play with a lot of freedom out there.
Right. Right. I love that, Coach, and it has truly been a great place for guards, following it. I know how you play the point guards. The 2 point guards on that national championship team are special, and Tyler's doing a great job at North Texas. Like you said, that's a great program also right there that he went to and has helped making it better. Coach, before we go back into your program, because I also want to talk a little bit more about practices and everything that goes into your success on the court. I want to talk just a little bit about junior college basketball. And not everyone understands, the recruiting on junior college basketball and are familiar with it. So just first question, Coach, about recruiting. Can you talk a little bit about the recruiting process, not just for you guys, but maybe in junior college, and how early you get on high school kids, and how that takes place, deciding if kids are going to be junior college or go Division I, and just a little bit of information about recruiting would be awesome.
Yeah, it's really changed from the time that I first got here to now. I mean, 4-year schools, Division I schools are like 4-year JUCOs now with the transfer portal.
Right.
It's really changed so much. We started looking at kids in the summer previous, usually to their senior year. And then it's just the process that my assistant coaches, it's one thing I just really rely on them to go out there and basically find the players. And that allows me to coach the team.
Right.
And they do a lot of the front work on the recruiting. But, we'll look at kids in the summer previous. We'll go to some AAU events and some other showcase deals. And then, Kansas recruiting is important to us. So we get on, some of the better Kansas kids. And it's really competitive in this state because one, the JUCOs are so good, but then we've got really good D2 schools.
Yep.
Then you get the 3 D1s, and I know, a lot of those kids, if they're at that level, we got no shot at them. But we compete with the D2s and all the other Jayhawk conference schools. So recruiting's, it's tough. We try to do it, as much like a D1 program as you can with the resources that we have, making phone calls and talking to kids. But our evaluation process over the years, I think, has been really good.
Yeah.
And the fact that I've been here, this is my 28th year, I get calls on kids all the time, and from friends that play basketball, and a friend of mine who is assistant women's coach at Arkansas called me last year. And he says, I know I don't know much about basketball, but he says, there's a pretty good guard over here in Fayetteville. And so we got on him, and we ended up getting him.
Yeah.
Landon Glasper is going to be a heck of a player for us. So we found out about him through my contact. Todd used to coach in the Jayhawk conference years ago. And so it's just, a lot of it's word of mouth. A lot of it's our contacts over the years of, hey, you need to check this guy out and check this guy out. Reggie Evans that played for me, he helped me get Love Bettis. Reggie played for me back in early 2000, late 90s and 2000. And then he went to Iowa and played 13 years in the NBA. And still a part of this program. And during the COVID year, he calls me and he says, hey, there's a guard down here that you need to coach or need to recruit. And Pensacola and Love Bettis. And Love ended up coming up here and, did started for us 2 years and was an All-American.
Right.
I was at North Carolina A&T. And so it's just a lot of that, a lot of the contacts. You get some references from some D1 coaches that
Sure.
Over the years, guys that trust your program. And so there's just a lot of different avenues that we go down in the recruiting, just like they do at all different levels.
Yep, absolutely, Coach. And I wanted to ask about the Jayhawk League specifically. Do you have to have a certain number of players from Kansas, and has that changed over the years? Is there some rule about the Kansas players?
There used to be.
Okay.
When I first got here, we could only get 5 players from outside the state of Kansas.
That's what it was. Yep.
Yeah. That was in place for a long time.
Yeah.
And then we went to 6. By 2002, we were at 6, and that was the team that played for the national championship. And then we went to 8, and now we're unlimited. So now it's you can recruit players from wherever, but we still put an emphasis on getting players. I mean, I've had All-Americans come out of Kansas that played for me, like I mentioned before. Lou Richardson was a heck of a guard for us out of Kansas City, Wyandotte High School. Ryan Martin, who played for us, and he was from Schlegel High School in Kansas City and went to Wichita State. He was an All-American for us also. Played for Mark Turgeon's team that made the Sweet 16. We've had really good Kansas players over the years, and so we put an emphasis on that. One of our better players this year, Nate Johnson, is from Kansas City. And so even though we get, we don't have a restriction on out-of-staters anymore, we still put an emphasis on recruiting the good quality Kansas kids.
Right. And then, Coach, your scholarship players, and when you fill up your scholarships, do you take sometimes kids you weren't sure if you're going to scholarship and take them on as walk-ons? And then my next question is, have you ever had a walk-on who cracked the rotation and then made a difference for you on the court?
Not that I can think of as far as a walk-on, but I've had some guys redshirt over the years.
Okay.
Steve Smith comes to mind. That Steve Smith was, when Reggie was playing here, we had some really good forwards that went to Iowa, South Florida, Oklahoma, and Nebraska. And Steve Smith, at that time, we were at 5 out-of-state or 6 out-of-staters at the time. And so he was an extra on the out-of-stater, so he had the redshirt his first year.
Okay.
Well, he ends up being, next year he plays for us. He's the freshman of the year in the conference. And next year he plays for us. He's an All-American, and we play for the national championship.
Yeah. Yep.
Redshirting him his first year, I guess we did because we had to, but he proved to be a pretty dang good player.
Yeah, and it worked out in that redshirt year. You can get stronger and work on your game.
I've done that over the years. Yeah, they don't like it necessarily because they're in junior college and they're thinking, man, I'm getting redshirted in junior college.
Right.
But then if they use it to their benefit and really work at it, then it definitely pays off for them. And Steve's a great example of that.
Absolutely. And, Coach, how many full scholarships can you have at Division I junior college?
15.
15 fulls. Okay. And then I also wanted to ask international, Coach. I know you've had some international players, and I'm sure it's through contacts and different things you find them. But how have you utilized international players in your program?
Yeah, most recently we've had Blaise Keita, who is from Mali, Africa, and Blaise played for us the last couple of years. Now he's at Nebraska. We currently have 2 more players on our team from Mali, Africa. Alisini Diallo, who was with us last year, and he tore his ACL first game of the year last year, and so was out the rest of the year. And then we picked up another one that was at Sunrise Prep School, Boubacar Keita, no relation to Blaze, but big 6'9" player that, and Diallo's almost 6'7", and both are 225, 230, big body guys.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we've got a contact that we did well with Blaze, and he saw that Blaze was treated well here. It was obviously a good environment for him. He got better in his time here, and so now he's helping us with more kids from that area. We've got a player on our team this year, also a two-guard, a combo guard from Greece, and coaching friend originally told me about him, and we got on him. He played at a prep school in Connecticut, kind of got overlooked, and we started talking to him. And he's going to be a heck of a player for us. Really
Right.
can handle it, you know. So yeah, we're kind of expanded into, we get some international kids, and I could tell people we just kind of wherever they're from, it doesn't matter to me as long as they can play.
Yep. It's worldwide, Coach. You win national championships, and this is what happens. I love it. Coach, a question for you, too, then, is when you have your recruiting class, typically you said 15 full scholarships. Is there a turnover because you lose freshmen maybe who go out to 4-year schools? Is it typical class like new players, maybe 10, 9, 11, 12? How many new players are typically on a team in your junior college?
Yeah. I mean, you can have 15.
Mm-hmm.
We're not fully funded like that.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
We got a good amount. We do.
Yeah.
We're up in the double digits. And,
okay.
We're good. But, there's certain schools that do have my friend Hank up in Indian Hills. I know he don't worry about any of that stuff.
No.
He's got it rolling up there. Kids roll over or move on, and so we do have a big turnaround.
Right.
As we were talking before we came on here, I've got just 3 players that returned from last year's team, and some of that was because kids moved on. Some of that was because some of those guys didn't fit what I wanted them to do here.
Sure.
And that hasn't been the case a whole lot over the years, but that was a little bit of the case last year. And so we've got 3 guys that were a part of things. 2 of those guys were injured and didn't even play, and Nate Johnson was the only one. And so, you start early. We're fortunate here; we can bring them in summer school and get to know them a little bit. They get to know us. They get to know the smaller community of Coffeyville. So the culture shock isn't as great when they come into school, and then they see that it's a quality place where they're going to be able to get better as a basketball player. They see the banners that we have hanging on the walls and the tradition of the program, and they realize, okay, I'm in a good spot. But with the way but the way that the portal stuff is, we got a number of guys on our team this year that are qualifiers. It just got overlooked because so many of the D1 schools are looking at kids out of the portal.
Yep.
And these kids are Division I level players that are maybe just going to play for us 1 year and then they're going to move on.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, then great for them because that's what we brought them in here to do.
Yep, exactly. Coach, you probably can't say it, but I can. You should be fully funded. You won a national championship, so take that trophy that's sitting behind you and bring it up to your boss's desk and tell them, Coach, tell them.
It's over that one.
Yeah, national champion, Coach. But that's awesome. And Coach, that was my next question then is how has the transfer portal kind of affected, and you kind of answered it, Division I recruiting, but like this class of 2022 kids and now the 23s, they're really being affected. We have some great players here in San Marcos even, and it's, the spots are limited, because kids that got that COVID year at the 4-year schools. So it has affected, it seems like, and some people are going JUCO route because of that maybe?
There's no doubt. We've got, I don't know, it's not half of our team, but it's over a third of our team are all guys that were just qualifiers.
Wow.
That got overlooked, and a lot of it just because of the portal thing.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously because it's new,
Yep.
that's what's going on. But I've also talked to a lot of my coaching friends at that level and said, hey, you guys are looking at guys in the portal that average maybe 3 or 4 points a game at a school, and they're looking to go someplace else, and you're missing out on kids that average 13 to 15 points a game in JUCO that played in good programs.
Right.
And it's because it was the shiny new thing out there, and they were able to get those players. And I get it, but I think it's gonna level out a little bit.
Right.
And some of those guys have said they're definitely going to get back into recruiting the JUCOs heavier
Right.
than they have in the past couple of years.
Right. Right. And Coach, I know you've sent so many players on to 4-year schools. It's a lot. Coach, diving back into your program, I wanted to talk specifically then about your style of play, and you mentioned it already, but your tough physical teams, and just watching film, you obviously are a great defensive team. Coach, can you talk a little bit about your defensive philosophy over the years, and then also you said it stayed pretty consistent over the years?
Well, yeah, the one thing I've changed as we started getting better depth, and it started about 2002, and after that, when we started getting, we were able to get just more players that were better talent.
Sure.
Started pressing more, but
Okay.
from the very beginning, we were just very sound defensively, and we played the old Dick Bennett style.
Yep.
Of, we call it gaps. He called it pack line, and we talk about guarding the ball a lot in practice. Every day we do some type of drills that it's about guarding the ball. And I don't think that there's enough emphasis out there in coaching where you teach kids, the proper stance and how to guard the basketball. Because if you're going to be any good defensively, you got to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
And if you can't guard the ball, people are going to attack you downhill. And a lot of people will, they'll do it once in a while on drills and stuff. We do it every single day.
Yep.
With the way we go about it. But the majority of the beginning of our practices are all just defensive stuff. And it starts out with 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 1-on-4, just builds up. And it's drills and it's competitive drills. And so that gets our guys in a mindset that, this is really important because kids coming in, a lot of times they don't understand the importance of defense. And when you're doing that every day, it gets ingrained in their head that this end of the floor is really important.
Yep.
And then I make the point to them that, the thing that allows you to score more points is playing good defense. And they look at me kind of strange. And I said, because if you don't guard, you're not going to be on the floor to score any points.
Right. I love that. Facts.
So you better guard, and then you're going to have freedom to go play on the offensive end and score some baskets, and then your parents are going to be happy. You're going to be happy, and we're going to win some games.
That's great.
But no, we've developed a style where we do press. It's not a crazy press, but it's a full court or 3/4 court press, and then a couple different styles with that. And then we get back in the half court, and we're very sound on the ball. We got guys in the gaps. And then one thing that we do that it takes a lot of practice, and I've talked to a lot of clinics and other coaches have come in and spoken to me about it. We do a post double. And there's some coaches out there that do it once in a while. It's something that we do every possession. And
right.
It's part of our system, and it keeps guys alert. When that ball goes in the post, we got a guy that's going to go double it, and it's always, certain spots on the floor, and it's drilled and it's drilled and it's
right.
drilled. The easy thing is to go get the double. The hard thing then is to get the rotation that goes after that.
Right.
Making sure everybody's in the right spots and knowing when they're going to send cutters, how are we going to cover that up, and we drill all that stuff because I've seen about every way that somebody can attack.
Yep.
Our defense over the years, and so we drill that a lot, and that's something that it keeps our guys kind of in a hungry, attacking mentality that they know when the ball's on the wing, if it goes inside, okay, it's on.
Boom.
We're going to trap this thing,
and
more than likely that guy's going to have to pass it out, or and then we rotate and anticipate the shot and rebound it, and then we're off running to the other end.
Right. Coach, staying with that post-to-post double, what's the terminology and the talk then for the other three players that are not involved directly with the trap?
Yeah, it's not post to post. Our whoever is in the strong side high position.
Okay.
So it could be forward. It just depends
Yep.
on the offensive alignment that we're playing against.
Okay.
So that's why it takes a lot of drills.
Sure.
Basically, if it's a 4 out or a 3 out, 2 in, like people used to play years ago, but more now it's 4 out. And so it's just a matter of who's in certain spots. And you just got to be alert to who's going to go double. With the guy in the wing's got a responsibility. The two guys in the lane got the rotation. And then when it comes out, everybody's rotating to the spots that they're supposed to be in. And it looks like chaos when we first started because guys just aren't getting it. But after drills and the emphasis of it, and again, it's something that we do every single day, that they get it down and it becomes pretty effective for us. To the point where some teams over the years that have good post players don't even throw it inside to them.
Right.
Because they know we're going to double them. Or if they do, they're just going to be ineffective because we're going to make them kick it back out.
Yep. I love that, Coach. You're taking away a strength of their team when they're choosing not to throw it inside. And also post players often, they're not the best passers all the time throwing it out, so you can get tips, deflections, and good stuff. I love that, Coach.
I had high school coaches over the years that have asked me, they said, and a lot of high school coaches love doing this because some of them don't have very much size.
Right.
But they said, do you even double the ones that aren't very good, the post players? And I'm like, heck yeah, those are the ones who turn it over.
Exactly.
They're not used to it. They're
Yes.
going to double it off their foot. They're going to freak out. They're going to make a bad pass, and you're going to create some turnovers with that.
Absolutely. I love that, Coach. And can I ask about ball screen coverage? I know the ball screen is just used more and more in college basketball. Do you have several coverages, or are you a program that maybe wants to do one thing and do it very good?
We do one.
Yeah. Really? Okay.
I mean, we do. I know there's teams that, based on who they're playing, have different coverages and stuff. But again, when we're on the defensive end, I don't want our guys thinking. I want our guys just reacting and playing basketball. And I can hold them accountable. The teammates can hold each other accountable because they know what they're supposed to be doing.
Yep.
And so we ball screen defense. We take them into the ball screen. Our guards chase over the top. We switch 1 through 4. But even on switches, we go over the top of the ball screen. That way, if we're got a smaller guy guard and a big guy screening him, they're not going to get buried underneath him.
Right.
They're going to go over the top and anticipating a pass, a bounce pass or something, but they're going to be on the high side of the guy. If it's like last year with Blaze, our big guy, he didn't switch. So we called it a shallow hedge. It's not a drop like a lot of teams are doing now.
Yeah.
So Blaze would get up level with the screener. Okay. And his rule was he had to guard him for 2 dribbles. Mm-hmm. And the guard's chasing him over the top because we always want that guy to feel the pressure of the guy coming from behind him and not getting comfortable trying to shoot a shot behind the screen.
Right.
And so the guard chases him over the top, and then we got to help behind. We talk about that a lot too.
Right.
A lot about helping behind the screen because you get isolations now, like 5 setting a ball screen on a wing, and everybody else over on the other side. Well, the guys in the lane have got to be ready to rotate and helping behind the ball screen, and we work a lot on that also. But we do it one way. I mean, that way our guys, they can't say, "Well, I thought we were doing it this way." No, there's not that. There's not that conversation that goes on. It's you're going over the top, and and we're going to talk about switching if it's 1 through 4, and guard the ball.
Yep. I love that, Coach. So that he takes the thinking out of it. You know what you're doing, and you know what you got to get done. Coach, how hard is it to get your guys to go into from a press and where you're providing pressure, you're slowing the team down, you're aggressive, and then when they do get past that and now they're playing half court and you're in those gaps, is that hard to transfer from that to gap defense?
Yeah. I remember years ago when I was going to first start pressing, and Brad Soderberg, who played for Dick Bennett, coached for
Yep.
Dick Bennett. Now assistant coach for Tony out of Virginia, and,
Yep.
and knows a lot about the pack and the gap defense. Now I remember talking to Brad, and I said, "Well, I'm gonna start pressing, but when we get done pressing, I'm gonna get back into the gaps." And he said, "That'll be interesting."
Right.
He said, I just remember his comment. He said, "That'll be interesting if you can get that done." And so we do, and we talk about it. Obviously, we do a lot of practicing with our press, and as soon as they get it down the floor and have, okay, I give our guys freedom to go get some traps and stuff.
Sure.
Once it gets down there and we no longer have that, now it's not that we're conservative. Now we're going to play our rules in the half court. And it's just, it takes a lot of drills because, initially they want to be still aggressive out on the wings. They want to try to deny things out on the wings, and then that leaves driving lanes open. And it's just, we drill it a lot. We talk about it a lot. But it is a mindset where, you're going to press, you're going to take your chances in the open court, see if we can get some traps, see if we can get some turnovers. But once they get down in the scoring area, we're going to get back into our style of play in the half court.
Right. Coach, it's great. It's a unique style. And I know when I was looking at it, I love the aggressiveness, but then you guys are very disciplined in those gaps where it's hard to drive the ball against you guys. Coach, is there one statistic that when you get the stat sheet at halftime or at the end of the game, defensively, you're looking at, is it turnovers forced or field goal percentage, or is there something that just stands out you want to be great at every game?
Well, not turnovers so much, because people, even though we press, teams in this league are so well coached that, there's a lot of times that, the press isn't going to cause too many turnovers, but what it does is take them out of their rhythm going into the offensive end.
Yeah.
So our big thing is our field goal percentage defense, and then the rebounds. We want to make sure that we're rebounding the first miss, and we put a heavy emphasis on that and that mentality. Even if we're pressing and teams go down and they shoot a shot, quick against the press, we're fine with. As long as we talk to them about rebound the first miss, it's like the turnover. If they shoot a bad shot from 15 feet, we love that shot.
Right.
And rebound, now we're going. But we put a heavy emphasis on field goal percentage defense. We're usually one of the top teams in our conference in that and nationally. And then rebounding the ball. We try to pride ourselves on being a really good offensive rebounding team. Because you get second chance points. It's just backbreakers for teams. And so on the other end, we just put a heavy emphasis on making sure that we rebound the first miss.
Coach, how do you teach rebounding? And I guess more of my question is, how often do you practice rebounding, or does it just come out in your live play scrimmages? Because I know you are an excellent physical rebounding team.
Yeah, we in a lot of our drills, it's all just about that. I mean, we do a few that start out like a lot of coaches do, where you're going to start with a rebound and then do some transition out of it or something, where people are kind of set. But in all our drills, it's about finishing with a rebound. And man, I lose my mind sometimes in practice just because, if we're not doing that, they get the point real quick that this is something that is really important. And one of our favorite drills in practice, defensive drills, is just a real simple 2-on-2. Starts on the wings, 2 offensive guys on the wings, 2 defensive guys in the middle of the lane. I'm behind them, and I throw out the ball to one side or the other. And they got to adjust quickly. One guy goes to the ball, one guy gets in the lane, and it's a 2-on-2 game. And it finishes with the rebound. And I mean, if you give up an offensive rebound, you run a set on the stairs.
Right.
And so they're in their head real quick. Oh shoot, this is important. So then it goes to 3-on-3, and then it goes to 4-on-4, and then it goes to 5-on-5, and it's not set. Drill. It's the offense has got freedom to play. They can set ball screens. They can pass and cut. They can do whatever they want to. And so it's like a real game where guys just got to know what the rules are. But when that ball goes to the rim, if you don't want to get on those steps, you got to make sure your team rebounds the ball.
Yeah.
And so it just ingrains it in their head that way. And we do a lot of our drills that there's punishments, and it gets in their head pretty quick.
I love that, Coach. And it carries over to the games. You guys
Yeah,
are physical. You're a great rebounding team.
Yeah.
You got to have a team full of go-get-it guys, and I know your teams are full of those. Coach, can I ask if your practice was a 2-hour practice and it was kind of divided up in a pie graph, what percentage would be on the defensive end? What percentage would be on the offensive end? And then also, how much do you scrimmage live play in your practices?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of my former players, I told them about this podcast, so they're probably out there going, "Hell, the whole practice is about defense." The beginning is definitely a heavy emphasis on the defense.
Right.
We do some warm-up stuff that is 5-on-0 offensive stuff, just working on stuff that we do on the offensive end. But I mean, the majority of stuff up until midway through practice, like I have two first part of practice, second part of practice, and we do our warm-up stuff, and then we're into our stuff with our defense. And it's like I said before, it starts with one-on-one stuff on the approach and how to guard the ball, then 2-on-2, and 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5. And we do different rebounding things out of that. And then, so that's an hour or so into practice. And then we have a 5-minute session where they shoot free throws, they get a drink. And then we come back afterwards. The majority of the time after that then is devoted to the offensive end of practice. But I used to be way more defensively, and then I realized, man, we got to score the ball better, and we need to spend more time on the offensive end, just like we do the defensive end. Especially when you're playing against the teams that can really guard you, you got to know, have the time to take care of the ball. And so we started emphasizing more on the offensive end too. So it's about 50-50. And then at the end of practice, the last probably half an hour every day, we're doing some type of full court, whether it's one transition or down and back, 3 possessions, something like that. We're always doing, because the game is 5-on-5.
Yep.
And, some days we work on our press. So we're going to press, and then we're going to go down and back, and this team's in this defense, and this team's pressing, and the other team's just straight man-to-man. But, we do probably the last half hour of practice, at least, maybe a little bit more. We're doing 5-on-5 stuff.
Right. Coach, and then it sounds like a great practice. And then on the offensive end, are you more in the half court running sets, motion? Have you changed over the years? What is your I know you can't go into your whole offensive philosophy, but what are some of the main staples for your offense?
The easiest way to explain that is we play a more up-tempo version of what Virginia does.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. We
blocker
sides.
Mover. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sides, blocker mover. You call blocker mover now. We call it sides. We play 2 forwards still. We definitely like one of the forwards to be a skilled guy that can play out on the floor a little bit more. But our forwards work opposite each other. Our guards learn to space off of our actions. There's some ball screens that happen within that, but it's not a set play.
Sure.
So we run basically a secondary into as we're going down the floor, and then we get into our side stuff if we don't get a shot.
Yep.
And so, and that's just, we put an emphasis still on throwing the ball inside. To Blaze, in the last couple of years, he was a big time threat on the inside.
Right.
So we throw it in there, and a lot of times, because we double, so our guys get used to passing out of the post, and then we play off of that too.
Sure.
We have actions when the ball goes in the post. All 4 other guys have got specific spots that they have to go to.
Right.
And then we play off of that, and you get great shots just by throwing the ball inside and pass them back out, and you get the defense in the rotation. We get great shots out of that. But I try to get our guys to play with a lot of freedom, but have discipline. And it's kind of a tricky deal early on.
Sure.
Because you don't want them to think too much like does coach really want me to shoot this shot or not? I don't want them to have that mentality.
Right.
I want them to be able to play basketball within what we do. And,
Right.
you know, if obviously I don't want them to shoot that shot, I'll tell them, you know, during practice, hey, that's not one that I want you to shoot. And then if they shoot it in the game, I'll let them know too. But
right,
you know, shoot it twice and they come out again. No, it's an offense. I think our guys have a lot of fun playing because we do play fast. We move the ball. In my 27 years, I've only had one player average over 20 points a game, and that was Reggie Evans. And that's because we had a bunch of guys that couldn't shoot it very good that played with him, and he got a lot of rebounds and putbacks.
Yeah.
But, you know, like our team that won the national championship, our scoring was very balanced.
Yeah.
Tyler Perry was our leading scorer, and I think he averaged about 15 points a game. Then we were, you know, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 9. You know, we had very balanced scoring, and
right.
That keeps guys happy. It keeps guys involved in the game. And it makes it fun.
Absolutely, Coach. And when you have balanced scoring from the opponent's perspective, that's tough to stop because there's no one you can really go off of if all five guys are capable of scoring and you don't know who's going to be scoring each night.
Yeah, and we found that a lot with that year early on. You know, teams tried to take Tyler out of the game. Tyler was early in the year was shooting over 60% from three.
Trish.
And teams were really getting after him. And so Tyler was really unselfish to the point where I get upset with him and tell him to shoot the dang ball. But I mean, he would get his teammates involved, and you know, Boston Holt became a really good scorer for us. He's at Utah now. And Hayden Brittingham and Larry White were our I don't want to call them second line forwards. They were just they were the guys that didn't start, and they were the next forwards that came in. And both those guys were so athletic and could score different ways. And then we had Marquise Browning, who's at UW Milwaukee now, and he was such an athletic wing player. And all those guys got involved and figured out the different ways that they could score within our offense. And they were all for each other. And that's the other thing that I think over the years, I emphasize is just being unselfish on that end of the floor. Because a lot of kids, when they're at the junior college level, I think have a mentality that they got to put up a lot of points so they can get seen and get recruited. And a great example of that, I had a player, Tevin Brewer, a couple of years previous to our national champion. We were in the Final Four, and he was our point guard. He was an All-American. He was a little dude. I mean, 5'8", and he could go. But he was at a JUCO in Oklahoma the year before his freshman year, and he averaged 26.5 points a game. And he was a qualifier coming out of high school. And he didn't get recruited. And we had some guys from Arkansas, where he was from, on our team, and he ended up transferring up here because he knew those guys. But when he came up for his visit, I told him, I'm like, dude, you're going to average maybe half the points that you averaged down there, but you're going to get recruited because you're going to play on a better team. When he comes here, he averages 13.5 points a game. He ends up being an All-American. We played in the Final Four. We got beat in the semifinal by Billy Gillespie's team. You know, and we had a hard time scoring that game, just missing a lot of shots because Billy's defense had a lot to do with that. But Tevin averaged 13.5 points a game and was an All-American. And so that's the thing that I get our guys to buy into, that if you're playing in a good junior college program that's got a good reputation and you're on the floor playing, you're going to get seen. Because you're going to get recruited. And because when you go to the D1 level, you're not going to average 20 points a game. It's not happening. I mean, you're going to maybe get to 10 points a game if you're lucky, you know. And so they get to understanding that, and they understand that if we're being successful and we can obviously get to the national tournament, then that really takes up your level of getting recruited.
Exactly. And Coach, that's such a testament to your program, how you have, for over these 26 years, have gotten these players to buy into the team, to unselfishness. I know that's what Coffeyville Community College basketball is all about. Coach, this has been so great. I have a few more questions. I don't want to stop, but I have to ask about the Jayhawk League.
Yeah.
Night in, night out. I mean, it's just got to be a grind, Coach. Wednesdays and Saturdays, and just, I mean, can you just talk about the league itself, the rival with Hutchinson, and just a little bit about your league that you're in?
It is. It's a monster. We play 24 conference games. We get 30 games in junior college basketball, so you get 6 non-conference games, and the rest are conference games. So we start conference, I think, November 10th this year, something like that, 11th. And you're playing, like you said, Wednesdays and Saturdays. And the travel, I mean, we travel 6-7 hours, and we're still in the state of Kansas, going out to conference games.
Yep.
And it's really good coaches and really talented.
Really good.
I mean, the top 5 players in JUCO basketball last year, 3 of the players listed were forwards in our conference, and they went to Alabama, Missouri, and Nebraska.
Yep.
And I mean, that's the quality of just the bigs, and the point guards are just as good. But the coaching and the preparation every night to get your team ready after long travels, and the competition is not. I mean, I know West Texas has got a good league. They just don't have as many good quality teams. East Texas has got a lot. It's a good league. Florida's divided up into different leagues. That's a good league. But the Kansas Jayhawk Conference with night in, night out quality teams, and as many as we play, it's a challenge. It's a great challenge. It's a lot of fun. And like you say, the rivalries. I mean, we've Independence is 15 miles from us.
Yep.
That's a big rivalry in this community and their community. Cowley County, who's an hour and 15 minutes from us. Butler, where Kyle Fisher, who was my assistant for 7 years, is now the head coach over there. And so, it's like a mirror out there when we're playing against each other.
Right.
What we're doing what they're doing. And then with Tommy over at Hutch now, he was at Indy at one time, then he was at Cowley. Now he's at Hutch and doing a great job. And so, it's just, you never get a night off in this conference. And it's what makes it fun. Rusty, the coach that's out at Garden City now, he was at Colby, and after his second year, and he says to me, he says, 25 years in the league. He says, how did you
How are you doing it right? Right.
He says, I know I ain't lasting that long. And but he's still hanging in there. I mean, Rusty does a great job, and now he's at Garden City, and I hear he's got a really good team. But it makes it's frustrating, but it also makes with this conference it's so great. Like in the Big 12 or the Big 10.
Yep.
In Division I level, that's what this conference is all about.
Yep. Exactly. I was talking today when we were preparing for the podcast, and we compared it to SEC football. Like it's very similar. It's just such a grind and such heavyweights, with you and Hutchinson.
Somebody that's ranked in the top 10 in the nation, and then next game you're playing a team like Cloud County that people would think, well, who's Cloud County? Well, they're really good.
Right. Shit.
And you're not prepared. They're really well coached, and they'll beat you on any night. So
exactly.
And because of the success we've had, not just from 2 years ago, but over the course of the year, winning conference championships as we have, and being in the night tournament, every night is a challenge for us because we get everybody fair shot.
Yep, absolutely.
The new guys, they don't understand that at first, but they learn pretty quick.
Coach, all the new guys probably call you the godfather of the league, man. You've been here. And you've been running.
Call me other things.
Shoot. Coach, it's a testament to your program and the job you've done. Okay, Coach, I got 2 questions for you. First, if a young coach is trying to break into coaching at junior college because they want to get involved in it, what advice would you have for them?
First thing is don't worry about the money.
Okay, good.
A lot of guys, I've had former players that think that they want to get into coaching, and they start here with entry-level positions, and then they get antsy. They want to start making money, and go do something else. And then a couple years later, they say, man, I wish I would have stuck with it. I want to coach, but you can't do that. You can't jump in and out.
Yep.
So, I mean, you just got to understand that when you first get in it, it's not about that. I mean, when I got into coaching, it was because I loved playing the game, and I knew from the time I was young that I wanted to be a coach. And when I started coaching at the University of Dubuque, where I finished up Division III up in Iowa, I mean, the only way I made money, I opened up a YMCA at 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's the way I made my money. And then I worked till noon, and then I went over in the afternoon and did my part with the basketball program. And, you know, you just, you got to earn your way first. So that's one thing. A lot of people, they want to start making the money because they see how much money certain coaches make, and that gets in their head.
Yep.
But if you really want to be a coach, don't worry about that at first. It'll all work out if you're doing your job.
Yep.
The second thing is, you know, just kind of be a sponge. I mean, just take it in and figure out, you know, what are the things as you're observing things, what works and what's going to fit your personality and what doesn't fit your personality.
Right.
And so over the years, I've been fortunate, been under some good coaches, and I've taken things from different ones, and then I've also left things from different ones where I'm like, that doesn't fit me.
Right.
And, so yeah, I mean, that some coaches, you know, young guys, they want to come in there and initially, you know, want to make an impact by trying to tell you how much they know. And in reality, what they need to be doing is just kind of being quiet and learning, and then do things as the coach wants them to do things. And I've been fortunate over the years. I've had great ones. Like I said that before. From my first one, Doug Wegemester, who was with me my first 2 years when we got things going. From, like I said, it was 3-26, and our first year we went 26-7.
Wow.
And since then, I mean, Kyle Campbell, who just left and took an assistant's job at a D1 school, he was with me in 2 different stints, total of 9 years.
Yep.
Kyle Fisher, who's at Butler, was with me for 7 years. And so I've been very fortunate. And got 2 guys that are helping me now, Jake Odom, that played at Indiana State and played overseas for 5 years, and then Coach Lansing at Indiana State. He's my assistant, one of my assistants now, and Abdul Wasasi, who was at Sam Houston State years ago as a student and worked his way up, and he's one of my assistants and been with me for 4 years now. So I'm fortunate that way. Those guys are young, but they've also put their time in. So they've got a lot more responsibilities with me because they've proven themselves. But young guys, you got to get in and don't worry so much about the salary early on. Coaches will help you as much as they can, and then you start to figure the game out and figure out, hey, this is definitely what I want to do. Then, you know, if you're doing your job right, you're going to get recommendations to get other jobs that are going to start paying you better. But, this is a great junior college. You know, I've been at this level. I played this level for 2 years. Southeastern Iowa, Burlington, Iowa. Then I coached 4 years previous to this at NEO Junior College as assistant coach for men and women. And then I've been here. This is my 28th year. So, I mean, the lifestyle fits me well. The ability to recruit players in here and coach good players also is an intriguing part of coaching junior college basketball.
Yep. Well, Coach, you're a staple in it and an icon. And that is such great advice, Coach, because all coaches have to sacrifice. And when you break into the business, you can't be worrying about that. You have to grind, you have to learn, and you have to soak it in like a sponge. You are spot on, Coach. Excellent advice. My last question isn't an advice question. If we're traveling through Coffeyville, Coach, and we need a place to eat, I asked this of all of my guests. Coach, we had the women's coach on for Las Vegas. She had it easy. You know, she's UNLV's coach. You're in Coffeyville, Kansas. Where do we eat there, Coach? Give me a spot.
you got a couple limited choices. One that is the city favorite is El Poblito. Okay, that's the staple in this community. But the post game place for us, we go to a place called the Yoke.
Okay,
and,
the Yoke.
Downtown. Yeah, it's good food, and it's got as this show, you know, it's basketball and brew. They got
Brew
beers and they got
Cheers, Coach.
And,
I love it. I love it. So the
so
yoke is where I'm going.
afterwards, and
Yeah.
we have some cold beers and talk about the game, and hopefully we're talking about winning. And
Yep.
but yeah, the yolk and El Poblito would be the. Other than that, I'm glad my wife's a great cook. It's, options are pretty limited in Coffeyville, but she's a great cook, and
Right.
so we eat at the house quite a bit. Yeah.
Right. I love it, Coach. When I come through to watch your team, I'm going with you to the yoke, and I'm going to have one of those cold ones.
And
Yeah.
We'll have a good time. We'll eat some good food and
Yes.
some cold beer.
Coach Herc, man, thank you. As I expected, you were awesome, dropping so much knowledge tonight. And like I said to Coach, you are a true icon, and I respect your program, as I know do all the listeners out here so much. Congratulations on that national championship, and let's go get another one.
Yeah, we got a good team this year, and I'm looking forward to coaching them and excited. And never know what can happen. Hopefully, it can happen again.
Absolutely, Coach.
Thanks for having me. I was excited to do this, and really appreciate you getting me on.
For sure, Coach. Thank you so much. Look forward to staying in touch with you. You were a great guest tonight.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. All right. Well, Coach Herkelman, I mean, like I said earlier, just an icon, man. Just a great basketball coach, great person, and truly one of the best in the business at any level. Thank you again for joining us tonight for Basketball and Brew. I just want to give a shout out to our sponsor. None of this is possible without Jude McLaren, who makes it all happen. And of course, if you're coming through San Marcos and you need to eat, we want you to go to Pie Society, get some pizza, get a beer, enjoy your time there, and then swing on over to Zellick's and finish out the night with a great happy hour time at Zellick's. We'll be back in a few weeks with some more guests. We hope you enjoy Basketball and Brew, and please subscribe on Twitter or subscribe on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. Enjoy it wherever you're watching. And until next time, thank you for watching Basketball.